Hey, what's going on, guys? Felix here, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about how to grow your email list with a podcast. So I had all these. I was going to sketch out and draw some for you guys, but I'm having a lot of technical difficulties. So I'll just kind of tell you the lesson and how you can grow your email list with podcasting. So first question is why would you grow your email list to begin with? If you have a podcast already, do you need email list? Why would you need to grow one? So the key reason why you want an email list is because you really want to be able to make sure you hit your prospect, your lead, your potential client in as many places as possible. There was this marketing saying, statistic from about maybe like 40, 50, maybe 60 years ago. What's going on, Kevin? That talked about how you need to a prospect, a prospective customer needs to see your message 7 times before they ever buy from you. So that was true 7 years ago, or 60, 70 years ago, when all they had was like newspaper, radio, maybe like 3 or 4 channels on TV. Nowadays, with so many platforms, everyone connected and getting hit by so many marketing messages, that the number I've seen lately is 20 or more times they have to see your message before they ever even think about buying from you. So the more opportunities you have to reach them, not just through your podcast, but then also through all the other channels out there, the better chance you have at converting them. And so that's one reason, to be able to make sure you hit them in more places and more times. But the second reason is because there's certain areas, certain types of content that works best for different purposes. For example, podcasting is great for building authority. It's probably the best way to build authority, especially if you have an interview style podcast. Best way to build authority, easy content for you to create, and it fills a gap of time in someone's day that they typically don't consume any other kind of content. For example, when you're walking your dog, when you're at the gym, when you're commuting, when you're driving, you're probably not watching YouTube videos, you're not reading blogs. You need to consume content audio only. So podcasting fills that gap. So podcasting works for that reason. It fills a gap in the time of days where you can't consume any other kind of content, and it's very long form and it keeps people engaged for a long time. So it works great for nurturing and growing your authority and growing know, like, and trust with your customers. But email works best for getting the sale. Now the reason for that is because typically when people are looking at their email, they are settled down. They're not, super busy and running all over the place. They might be at the computer a lot of times, or they're at home, they're at the office, they're on their phone, but they're not like multitasking, running around all over the place, which means it's the best environment to ask for the sale. So you do want to use your podcast to grow your authority and warm up your prospects and your leads, but you really want to get them over to email as soon as possible to start this kind of more customer type of relationship where you're asking them for a sale. What's going on, Anthron? So how do you get them from your podcast over to your email list? So the best way that I found is to continue the conversation, as I like to call it. So when you are podcasting and you are talking about a specific topic, for my podcast, Shopify Masters, I might have a guest on my show that talks about how they build a 6-figure e-commerce brand by using Instagram stories. Right? We spend the entire podcast talking about that. Now, when someone gets to the very end of the podcast, what's on top of their mind is Instagram stories. How can I do this for myself, right? They listened to the podcast, they got inspired, they got motivated to try this new technique, this new tactic out, and now they're ready to do it. But then they haven't figured it all out. They don't know all the pieces yet. So this is your opportunity to capture an email lead, because you can't go too in depth, you can't show visuals, you can't walk them step by step through a podcast, but where you can do that is through like a PDF or even a video. So what you do is that you direct them at the end of the podcast episode to go to your blog, and then there is going to be a step-by-step guide, step-by-step video, a deeper dive into the same topic that they just came listening from. So at the end of the podcast, you give them a call to action and say something like, if you're interested in learning how to use Instagram stories to sell more of your products, make sure to go to mypodcast.com/ Instagram stories or episode 150, they go to that link, they go to their show notes, and on the show notes you have what's called a lead magnet that then they put in their email address in, and in exchange you will send them to their email, of course, a link to the step-by-step guide on how to implement Instagram stories. Let's go on, Michael. How to implement Instagram stories into their store, their brand, like basically give them a step-by-step of how to do it. So that's what I mean by continue the conversation. So the best way to get someone onto your email list or a podcast is take the topic that you're already talking about on the podcast and then give a deeper dive, a step-by-step guide, some more of that same topic. But in order to get it, they go to your show notes, they put in their email address, and they will get it sent to them. So basically, you do this for every single episode, and eventually you will capture everyone that tunes in, because someone might be listening, they might be kind of interested in Instagram stories, but they're not interested in implementing it right now. But next week, you might be talking about how to use Facebook stories, how to use TikTok to sell more products and services, or how to sell more from their sell more e-commerce products from using TikTok, and that's what they're interested in. And guess what? You also have a step-by-step guide on how to do that. They go to your show notes to do it, to grab that, put in their email address, you send it to them. And now you have an email list that you're building on autopilot. You started putting some work, putting together those lead magnets. But what you'll find is that over time is that if a topic comes over and over again, you can reuse lead magnets, or you might just create like 10 of them and then drop them in on relevant episodes. So once you have that email list built up, what do you do with it? So one of the best ways to use the email list is to promote further content. So you can just use the email list to promote podcast episodes that you have coming out, that you have coming up. You can use it to poll your audience, but most importantly, you use an email list to sell your products, right? So whatever products or services you have, you use an email list to market to them through the email. So not only do they get hit now through the podcast, but they're also getting hit from your email list. So that is how you grow your email list with a podcast, using a lead magnet that continues the conversation from your podcast all the way over to your website, which then directs them to enter their email address in to get the kind of step-by-step guide for more information, more guidance on how to actually implement what they learn on your podcast. So listen, if you want to learn how to use your podcast to sell more products, sell more services, you're a coach, you're a consultant, and you want to get more dream clients, then I invite you to click the link in this post. Book a call with me. We'll talk more about your specific situation, what you're trying to do, what kind of goals you have, and if podcasting is a good fit for you. I'll tell you more about that. I'll tell you more about my program, and if you want to be a part of it, then I'll tell you more about that all on the call. Give you all the information you need, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care and good night.